Here we go. I don't know how this deck's gonna play out anyway. I hope it plays well, but right now as it stands, I have no idea how this deck's gonna play. I've played more Magic in the last 2 weeks than I did in the last year and a half, simply because the new set coming out, Bloomburrow, looked like it was gonna be a lot of fun. And hell, I was right. It's been a freaking blast to play. I showed you my first deck that I built called Utterly Shocking. It is going to be somewhere tagged around here. If you haven't seen that video, in the comments, in the description, somewhere it'll be tagged. Go and check it out. But this is a new deck build. It's going to be based off Golgari, the squirrels. They're super menacing. They love to forge. Yes, I had to do it. Let's get into it, okay? Now, this entire deck is based off of the forge mechanic. Do you know what the forge mechanic is? If you don't, it's where you either exile 3 cards out of your graveyard, or you sacrifice a food token. This deck is built off of sacrificing food tokens because we still kind of play out of the graveyard a little bit, or we have the ability to do so. So we don't want to be exiling everything out of our graveyard. Now, how do we gain those food tokens? We have 5 different cards that are going to gain us food tokens in this deck. First one is Savor. Savor will simply help you remove a creature on the opponent's side potentially, and then create that food token. It's always nice to have that. Next one is Baker's Bane Duo. Baker's Bane Duo is a 2/2 for 2, and it gives you a food token. Kind of nice value there, okay? The next one after that is Cash Grab. All right, mill 4 cards. You may put a permanent card from among the cards milled this way into your hand. If you control a squirrel or return a squirrel card to your hand, you get to create a food token. Well, every creature in this deck is a squirrel, so no matter what, you're probably going to either own a squirrel already or return a squirrel card to your hand, so you're getting that food token regardless, okay? And this is a good way to get those cards back into your hand that you really need, that you want to play out. Now, Paw Patch Formation. This is a nice little card. It either takes out something with flying, it destroys some enchantment, or you draw a card and create a food token. We're going to be using the draw card to create a food token mostly with this card, but since the standard format is so heavy right now with enchantment and flying creatures, it's kind of nice to have those options as well. Vine Reap Mentor. This guy right here, when he enters the battlefield and when he dies, creates a food token. He's kind of nice to have as well because he's a 2-drop for a 3/2 that creates those food tokens. And that's how you're going to create all your food tokens. There's the 5 cards right there that are going to help you bring those tokens in so you can then use your foraging ability. Now, cards that benefit from the foraging ability, we're going to start with Bushy Bodyguard. Bushy Bodyguard gets 2 +1/+1 counters if you forage. So that turns it being from a 2-drop for a 2/1 to a 2-drop for a 4/3. That is nutty. That's good value right there. Now, if you pay the offspring charge, you then also get to create a token, but that token doesn't benefit from the first food token being sacrificed. I'm saying token a whole bunch, but if you sacrifice a food, it only benefits the first card. If you sacrifice a second food, it'll then benefit the token of Bushy Bodyguard. And then you'll get to create a 4/3 for the first one and then a 3/3 for the second one. Kind of nice that can happen, but most of the time you're not going to have potentially 2 food tokens up to cancel to the sacrifice right away, but it's nice to have. Now, obviously, we have Vine Reap Mentor. This guy already does what he does. He creates your food tokens when he enters and when he dies. We got Curious Forager. This guy right here allows you to potentially forage, if you want to return a permanent card from your graveyard to your hand. A permanent card, not a creature card, a permanent card. That's big value. So a 3-drop for a 3/2 that allows you to potentially return a permanent card to your hand. That's awesome. Honored Dry Leader. This guy is scary. All right. First of all, he gets a +1/+1 counter for each other squirrel and or food you control. So if you control a bunch of them, when he comes into play, he can be a very big boy very quickly. He also gets more +1/+1 counters when more squirrels and more food enters the battlefield. So if you keep getting more and more and more, he gets bigger a lot faster, and he's got trample. That's just nutty in itself. Now, the cream of the crop, the best card, the card that makes this entire deck kind of function properly, Camellia the Seed Miser. Why can't I pronounce these words, man? Camellia the Seed Miser. This creature right here gives you, it menace, and all your other squirrels menace. Since every creature in this deck is a squirrel, everything you have gets menace. Okay. When you sacrifice food tokens, you create a 1/1 green squirrel token. If you use the forge ability on this thing, it gives every single one of your squirrels, every single other one of your squirrels a +1/+1 counter. If you do a food token while doing the forge ability, so you pay the 2 and forge, sacrifice a food token, you create that squirrel token and it gets the buff from the +1/+1 counters. So you're now creating 2/2 counters, 2/2 squirrels with menace. That is good value. That's all I'm going to say. It's good value. Now, one of the other cards that's in this deck that's actually a lot of fun to have is this guy right here, Valley Rotcaller. Basically, he's got menace, and when he attacks, if however many squirrels, bats, lizards, or rats, we're dealing with squirrels though, but it also triggers for those other guys that you have, that you control, just control. They don't have to be attacking. They just have to be controlled. Like, you just have to have them. Takes away life from your opponent and gain life. So say you have 5 other squirrels on your there, and only this guy attacks. You will automatically do 5 damage to your opponent. You'll gain 5 life, and then if he's got menace and your opponent can't stop you, you'll also do the 1 damage as well. So you're doing 6 damage and gaining life. That's crazy. That's awesome to have this card in there. Now, I've got 2 land cards in this deck. Oak Hollow Village. I don't know if I'm keeping them in the deck, but they're in there for right now. First of all, I've run into multiple situations with both these lands where I haven't been able to use them to cast some of my non-creature spells because, unfortunately, I only had it out, and I needed a forest to be able to cast it, and it wouldn't tap for that forest because it only taps for a forest when you cast a creature spell. That's kind of a pigeonhole there. Now, the reason why I got this is for the secondary ability, but the secondary ability is not amazing either, because unless you have a lot of land available to you and you've cast your creature spells this turn without tapping this thing to cast those spells, it costs 1 forest, plus you got to tap it. So 2 mana to put a +1/+1 counter on each frog, rabbit, raccoon, or squirrel. Since we deal with squirrels, it's just squirrels in this one, that I've entered the battlefield this turn. The problem with that is, if you've tapped this thing to cast one of those creatures, you no longer use its ability. I'm just saying its ability isn't as, at first I thought its ability was awesome. I just didn't read the card well enough, and it's actually not that great, in my opinion. This one will get more value out of. This one gives me the ability to potentially bring squirrels from my graveyard back to my hand, which is kind of nice, but I got to sacrifice it. So yet again, there are probably other cards that I can put in this deck that'll give me the ability to bring those cards back to my hand without having to sacrifice a land to do so. So I don't know if these guys are staying in the deck. They're there for now, but they're probably going to come out. Anyways, this is my squirrel deck. This is the Menacing Squirrel deck, the Nutty Golgari, built just from Bloomburrow. Obviously, if you take a lot of the other cards from the rest of the standard format, you can make this deck so much more potent. But for right now, this is what it is, and it's been a lot of fun to play. And if you want to see some of the matches, continue watching for a couple more minutes. You're going to see some of the matches and how they go and how the triggers happen, how this deck can actually look pretty scary when it comes out to play. All right? Now, if you haven't already hit that follow button, that subscribe button, that whatever button you have to hit to follow along, I would really appreciate if you did that now. If you want to hit that little gray bell notification icon so it lets you know when I post something new, go ahead and hit that now. And until next time, remember, just keep being the absolute amazing people that you are. Keep evolving, keep taking that next step, and I'll see you soon. Deuces. Boom. Okay. All right. All right. All right. That was a little, there's refining that needs to happen there. Okay. There was refining that needs to happen there, but that was nutty. I'm not going to lie. That was fucking nutty. Okay. The fact that I can give all my creatures menace, that's what's going to piss a lot of my opponents off, because they can't stop my guys and I'm able to buff them as well. Fuck off. This guy's doing as much as he possibly can to like stop me from fucking being an absolute fucking beast, yo. You're dead next turn. You're dead next turn. I've got Menace. Unless you can cast a bunch of guys, you're dead next turn. And even then, I'm going to forge twice. And I'm going to fucking throw I'm going to throw and sacrifice these guys, which is going to create fucking 2 more guys. And then all get fucking +1/+1s. You're fucking dead next turn, bro. You are fucking kidding me, man. You got 2 cards in your hand right now. What do you got? Oh, you're dead. You're dead next turn, bro. You're fucking dead. There you go. 3 wins in a row, guys. 3 wins in a row right there. That's a pretty fucking crazy deck. I'm not going to lie. It's a pretty fun deck to play.